We can just trick the front door, can't we? Yeah. Okay, welcome, guys. My name is Lisa, I'm your tutor. Obviously, you know this, but you can kind of introduce yourself. Today we're going to be looking at a PHSE session. It's going to be linked into what we've been doing in our sessions during the week. And we're going to be, just first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the ground rules, okay? So it's really important, just because we're on an online lesson, that we ensure that we are still abiding by some of the ground rules that we set when we're in the classroom, but also there's some additional ones that we just need to be aware of, okay? So make sure you're professional. So when you're coming into an online lesson, make sure that you're coming in ready, and make sure that you're preparing. That can really help with your mental health as well. Be aware of your surroundings. You know, people can see you, but they can also see behind you. So if you need to, you can deploy a virtual background, or you can also switch off your camera if you do not feel comfortable with your camera on, okay? Mute is your friend. So when you come into the lesson, please mute yourself. That way we will not get distracted from any background noise. And when you need to speak, we can unmute yourself, and then we can move forward, okay? If you want to speak, you can either physically raise your hand like this, or you can use the raise hand function if it's available, okay? If you need any help with that, you can speak with your tutor as well. And remember, please remember, lovely little thumbs up from them, thank you. Please remember that all other normal classroom rules apply. So please refrain from smoking, vaping, drinking, alcohol, using phones, and finally talking over each other, because it's really difficult to hear if you guys start to talk over each other. Is everyone okay with that? Thumbs up? Cool. Okay, so moving into the lesson. So today we're going to be looking at one of our themes. So our themes we're looking at is celebrating diversity and equality. And as I said before, we're linking it into our social enterprise task and our shoebox project, which all you guys have been working on during the week, and it's looking fantastic, okay? So in terms of the intent for this lesson, we're going to recognise that people can often suffer from homelessness or housing need as a result of direct or indirect discrimination, and this could be because of race, sex, disability, or sexuality, and any of the other protected characteristics on the Equality Act as well, okay? We have got some keywords for you guys today that we're going to be using a lot. We'll be looking at the definitions of them as well. So we've got equality, diversity, discrimination, homelessness, equity, and inequality. Okay? Is that okay with everyone? Thumbs up? Fantastic. Okay, so here are the learning outcomes that we're going to be focusing on today, guys. And this is where I want to see you guys progressing. Okay? So the aim of the session is to improve your confidence and knowledge of diversity and equality within the homeless community. Okay? We're going to first of all look at learning outcome 1, which is define the term diversity, and we're going to look at learning outcome 2, which is define the term equality, and then we're also going to look at identifying ways in which discrimination can directly or indirectly affect homeless people, okay? And hopefully, guys, by the end of this lesson, you're going to be feeling confident with this issue, okay? What I want you to do, if you can, I'm going to put a link, sorry, into the chat survey, or the chat box. If you could just click on that link, we can then get some self-assessment from you guys, okay? Okay, so for this point, I haven't put it in the link yet, but if we were in a real lesson, you would put it in. You can also use your Google Classroom sheets if you would prefer to. Or any other, you might want to use a Kahoot. I know you guys love using that as well. So it's simply a click on that, or you can also scan the QR code with your mobile phone. And when you log on to that, it will have some simple questions. So it's got, in order to gain an understanding of your current knowledge, please score yourself out of 10 for each learning outcome. And it simply has a score for each learning outcome on here. Okay? So that is our pre-lesson self-assessment. Okay, so what we're going to do very quickly before we go into today's lesson is we're just going to have a little bit of a recap, okay? So what we've been doing during the week is obviously we've been making our shoe boxes in preparation for our talk with Pre-Brain Centre, and also in preparation for delivering them to the centre. So I just wanted to get a little bit of feedback from you guys. How did you find it? Have you been enjoying it? And have a think. Can you remember some of the different reasons why somebody may become homeless? I think the lady in the guest talk was able to talk about them. If you can remember any, can you put the answer in the chat box for me? Or if you would like to talk, just raise your hand and I can unmute you. Okay. Fantastic. Some great ideas going in there, I can see. Emma, great one from you. I love that. Do you want to talk any more about that, what you've just said? So about a reason why you may become homeless?
I'd like to say that people can become homeless because of like using drugs and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that is one of the reasons why people may become homeless, and it's also one of the reasons that may stop people from moving on from a homeless state, simply because they may have other they may come into more issues. So if you're a drug user or if you're an addict, you may not be able to access the support that you need, for example, because you may not have a fixed abode, so you may not have an address to register with your local GP, for example, okay? So that's kind of a really big one. Julianne, have you got anything else that you would like to add to that? Any other reasons, do you think?
Yeah, I would say just from people who have lost their jobs and haven't been able to pay for their rent.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously in the current climate, you've got a lot of people losing their jobs that wouldn't normally be losing their jobs. So, you know, it's really important to realise that, you know, realistically, a lot of us are one step away from finding us in this situation. You know, a lot of people in the UK, especially, and the rest of the world, you know, don't have a lot of savings, don't have the ability to fall back on other people. So, you know, everybody could find themselves in this situation, which is why we need to look at some other things about money management and how we can look at safeguarding ourselves against that. So really good point and very current as well. Okay, perfect. So we're just going to move on now. We know that you guys have done lots of work today, so we just wanted to say thank you. Pre-bench treatment, very, very complimentary of what you guys have been doing. I'm very thankful. Okay, so really quick one. Have a look at all these people on the screen. Can you tell me, what do you think they all have in common? If you could just type your answer into the chat box, that would be fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, some great answers in there from Emma. Do you want to just speak about your answer for a second?
Yeah, they've all got loads of money.
They've all got loads of money and they're rich. Yeah, absolutely. Julianne, what about yourself?
They're all famous, so they're like celebrities, people that are well known.
Absolutely. So they're all famous, they're all celebrities, and they've all got loads of money. Very much a thing that they've got in common. Another thing that they've got in common is at one point in their life, each and every one of these people have been homeless, okay? So they have been on the other side, okay? And they have been able to kind of turn their lives around and get back. Really, really good point. Daniel Craig was actually homeless, I think 2 years before he landed his first James Bond role. How crazy is that? That is crazy, yeah? So lots of things in common there. So just a little bit of a taster. So we're going to move now into the lesson, okay? So we're going to first look at equality and diversity. So the first question I want to ask you guys is, what does it mean to you, okay? You've got two options here. You can either type in the chat box again, which is fantastic, or you can raise your hand and we can come to you and you can talk. So do not worry, there's no wrong answers. You know, we've got a bit of safe space here. We're all together, we all know each other. And just let me know what way you would like to answer your question. Lovely. Okay, so Julianne, we'll come to you first. So what does equality and diversity mean to you?
Just everyone getting the same right? Regardless of where they're from, what they look like, and just, yeah, equality for different types of people, or fairness for different types of people.
Fantastic. Great answer. And Emma, what about yourself?
Everyone getting like a fair chance and having the same opportunities.
Okay, fantastic. Good. We're going to come back to this in a little second, but it's just good to get to know your viewpoint. Okay, so diversity. Okay, so diversity is about taking account of the differences of people and groups of people and placing a positive on those differences. Okay, so it's about looking at everybody's different, and actually that's not a negative, that's a positive thing. Okay, so it's really important that we get that message across, because actually if everybody was the same, we wouldn't be able to achieve a lot of things, because everybody would give the same output. Okay, so it's really important that we learn to celebrate diversity rather than see it as a negative. Okay, equality. So you guys have been talking a lot. The first two kind of comments you made was about equality. Everybody has an equal opportunity, is not treated differently or discriminated against because of their characteristics. Okay, so this is really important. Can anyone name a characteristic that is protected from discrimination? Think if you've ever come across the Equality Act. If you want, type it in the chat box. If you want to talk, let me know. Okay. Lovely. So Julianne, you've said age. You're correct. You know, so you're not allowed to discriminate or be discriminated against due to your age. Okay. Emma, you talked about gender. Absolutely. Do you want to talk a little bit more about gender? What do you mean by that?
So like, doesn't matter whether you're like male, female, like you can't, like, people can't give you a job just because, like, can't say no, you can't have a job just because you're female if it's like working in a warehouse.
Absolutely. Really, really good point, Em. Another really good point to make here is a thing that is worldwide. It's talked about very, very openly, and it's what is called the gender pay gap. So a lot of people talk about the gender pay gap. A lot of people talk about how men in similar roles are paid more than women. Why is that? When actually their skills are the same, their abilities are the same, and their output is the same. You know, you can look at a really, really extreme thing of that is sport. So if you look at a female football player and a male football player, a male football player probably earns more in a day than a female player would earn in a year. Some of the top ones anyway. Okay, so definitely two really good points you guys have made there. Okay, and there are a few others. Okay, so the Equality Act in 2010 it protects people from discrimination on the following characteristics. Okay, so you've got ethnicity, sex, gender reassignment, disability, religion, belief, age, sexual orientation, pregnancy and maternity, marriage and civil partnerships. So it's important to just be aware of them categories. At this moment in time, we're just introducing them to you, so you've got them on radar. However, we will go into this in more detail in some of our other lessons during this kind of theme, okay? So we're going to move on from them characteristics now, but just be aware of them, okay? Because we will come back to them. Okay, so what I want you to do now is pause and think, okay? I want you to ask yourself a question. Is equality enough to ensure that everybody gets the help and support that they need? Okay, you're going to have 5 minutes. Go away, have a drink if you need to, and have a 5-minute break and come back in, and we're going to answer the questions. If you can stick that answer in the chat box, that would be fantastic. Okay, cool. Obviously now I would have a 5-minute break. We're not going to do that. So if you could just put your answers in the chat box, that would be fantastic. Okay, so Emma, you have wrote no. Very simple, very short. Julianne has wrote yes. Great. Okay, then we can have a little bit of a debate now. So Emma, you come in first. What In fact, no, Julianne, you come in first. Why is it yes?
The whole point of equality is that everyone's equal. So when we have equality, then everything is fair.
Okay, fantastic. Emma, you're coming in with a different angle there. Tell me what you're thinking, what you're saying.
Some people might need like more help because they might have like a learning need or yeah.
Okay, really good answer. Okay, right, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you something. Really hope this works because I'm not great at ICT. Oh, okay, so what I want you to do is just watch this video. Can you hear it if I press play? No? Okay.
No, so when you share your screen,
yeah,
there's an option to share your computer audio. So if you have got like a video on a PowerPoint,
yeah,
make sure you tick the little box before you share it, and then
so
that will allow.
I'll stop sharing and I'll come back in, yeah?
Yeah, so go share screen, and then it should have an option for share audio.
Austin, yeah, cool.
This is a teaching point for everyone who needs upskilling with audio sharing.
Absolutely. Can you hear it now?
Before I say go, I'm going to make a couple statements.
Can you hear that okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
If those statements apply to you, I want you to take 2 steps forward. If those statements don't apply to you, I want you to stay right where you're at. Take 2 steps forward if both of your parents are still married. Take 2 steps forward if you grew up with a father figure in the home. Take 2 steps forward if you had access to a private education. Take 2 steps forward if you had access to a free tutor growing up. Take 2 steps forward if you've never had to worry about your cell phone being shut off.
Okay, so we're going to stop that there. Okay, just simply because of time, but you get the gist. So that kind of is a little video that I can't see you guys when I turn this off. It's so weird. There's a little video that just emphasizes how not everybody is on a level playing field. So actually sometimes equality, treating everybody equal is great, and we obviously need to push for that, but often it's not enough because we need to make sure that people are getting the support that is tailored for their individual needs. You know, if you look at this little picture, you can see that all of the people here on the left-hand side are getting the same support, but actually only 2 of them are benefiting from the support. And this person is not. Whereas actually, if they're given the support that is needed, then actually everybody can benefit from the support. Because actually, maybe this person over here in the red maybe doesn't need support. So actually, if they allow the other people to have extra support, everybody can be a little bit more better off. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? Fantastic. Okay, so we're just going to move on slightly, if this allows me to. Just going to have to stop sharing for a second. Okay.
You don't have
For some reason, okay, here we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try and link all of this into what we've been doing. Okay, so what we've been doing over the last week. So the question I want to ask you now is, what does homelessness mean to you? Okay, there's no right, there's no wrong answer. Okay, write your answer in the chat box for me. Having nowhere fixed to sleep. Like that, Em? not having a house. Absolutely. So a lot of the things that homeless people kind of suffer from goes beyond not having a house, but that is the ultimate kind of initial thought that everybody has. Okay, so we thought about, at the start, I asked you about reasons why people might become homeless, and we said about drug use, we said about losing the job. We're going to listen to something now. Just want you to think about, as we listen to it, other reasons why you might become homeless. You're going to be able to listen to a lady called Rachel in a minute. She's a homeless person. She's just describing how it makes her feel and how it affects her life. As we listen to it, just think about some of the other reasons why you could become homeless. If I can make it play. I can't.
When I was on the street for that consistently long period of time, it's like I said, I felt like a non-person most of the time. I felt dirty, I felt, just non-existent really. It was horrible, there was no, you've got nowhere to go, you don't know what's happening from one minute to the next, you're always in danger, you never feel safe. I put myself at risk consistently. I don't think I ever really slept when I was outside because you can't. Do you know what I mean? It completely, just drained every mental resource I had really. And it was like, I felt like I was living on the edge all the time, consistently living on the edge, never able to relax, never able to just be. And I forget that sometimes, just how degrading it was, really. It was very degrading, the whole thing.
Okay, so that for me is quite difficult to hear. I don't know about you guys, but it really hits home. Both of you went nowhere to sleep, no home. And that is one of the hardest things that a homeless person has to deal with, because it has a knock-on effect. But nowhere to sleep, that means they're not sleeping. It means they don't feel safe. It means they don't have anywhere to put their stuff. That then has a knock-on effect on their mental health. But then what happens if you have a knock-on effect of your mental health, but you can't apply to go and see a GP because you don't have a house? And as you can see how somebody's life can change drastically from 1 month having a job to losing their job, to then snowballing into somebody with severe mental health issues who can no longer reach for help or gain access to help. Okay, so we're talking about losing their job, we're talking about drugs. Can we think of any other reasons why you might become homeless? Put your answer in the chat box, or you can also talk if you feel comfortable doing that. Family feuds, getting kicked out. You guys are on the same wavelength. I love it. Absolutely. And this is something that can affect everyone. Okay, so homelessness can happen to anyone around the world. It can happen if you're rich. We looked at the start of the lesson where we looked at people who have more money than they even need or begin to need. They can become homeless. And also, if you're poor, also if you lose your job. So we've got loss of job, loss of income, eviction, gambling, addictions, okay? Ex-offenders may struggle to get work, which then may lead to homelessness, crime, and a big one, poor education, okay? So it's really important why you guys are getting yourself into a position where your education is strong, so that can carry you through for the rest of the years of your life, okay? And here's just a little point I wanted to make is why some young people are homeless. Okay, some of the top reasons why young people are homeless is because of abuse, because they ran away, because they've been kicked out, because the parents can't cope. The parents might be suffering from loss of jobs, so that's kind of an indirect reason why they're becoming homeless. Family issues. Okay, so it's really important that we look at all of these things and not just focus on the ones that initially come to mind. Is everyone okay with that? Thumbs up. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to move on slightly, if it allows me to. Okay, we're going to look at discrimination now. So, Same thing, same format as we always do. How do you think discrimination affects homeless people? So discrimination often plays a role when you need to access jobs or training opportunities, and also is due to carrying a negative stereotype. So can you think of any reasons why homeless people may be discriminated against? Again, chat box, or you can talk. Assumption that they're uneducated. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that they have to deal with on a daily basis. They don't look presentable. Absolutely. But how can they look presentable when they don't have a place to live? They don't have a place to shower. They can't wash their clothes. Okay, so these are things and barriers that actually they have got no ability to really control. They can control it to a degree, but they can't control it fully. Absolutely, two great answers, and we're going to talk about them more in a little bit. Okay, so what you've both described there is discrimination that kind of can affect homeless people both directly and indirectly. Okay, so sometimes discrimination can be easy to spot. For example, if a hotel turns you away because you're gay, this is called direct discrimination. Okay, this is when you're treated differently simply because of who you are. Okay, that can also be related to homelessness. Okay, another one where it's indirect discrimination is where you can be treated the same as everybody else. So a little bit, Emma, like what you touched upon, about giving people different support, but it has different or worse effect on you because of who you are. It's also discrimination. It's also protected by the Equality Act, but it's indirect. Okay, so there's two important differences. Okay, so what I want us to do now is just have a think about them two different types. And can you think of discrimination that directly affects a homeless person? And I think we've probably thought about them previously, but would you agree? If you want to speak, you can speak. Emma, what do you think about that?
Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm just reading the slide.
Sorry. So in terms of directly affecting, both yourself and Julianne said about kind of appearance. So their appearance is directly affecting. So for example, if they walked into McDonald's because they needed to use the toilet, the person at the door could turn them away because they do not look like they're going to be coming in to buy something. So they can be directly sent away from that establishment. Okay, so that's the kind of situations that they may have to deal with. Okay, there are others, and we can talk about them in more detail later in the week when we're going into this in more detail. Okay, what about indirectly? Can you think of anything that could indirectly affect? And we talked about this briefly. If you think about mental health, okay, how could somebody that is homeless with mental health issues be indirectly discriminated against? So not somebody saying you can't come in and do that, but how could that happen before they even have the opportunity to come in, do you think? So if you have a mental health issue, what's the first thing you should do?
Get help.
Get help. Okay, so how do you get help?
Go to the doctor.
Great, so you go to the doctor. So you can go to the doctor, Julianne can go to the doctor, and I can go to the doctor because I'm registered at the doctor. What happens if you're not registered at the doctor? Can't go. What do you need to register at a doctor?
Address.
Address. What else?
ID.
ID. Costs money. Okay. So indirectly, a homeless person will not be able to access them services because they don't have the criteria that is needed to gain access to it. So it's really important that we understand the barriers that they have. And that's why they can directly and indirectly be affected by discrimination. Okay? Okay, final slide, guys. Thank you so much for your interaction today. It's been great. I just want to leave with you a final thought, okay? Everybody has something different about them, or something about them that is different. It makes no sense to discriminate or stereotype people because they are different from us. Like I said before, if everyone's the same, we wouldn't have all of these amazing inventions. We wouldn't have friends with different characteristics. We wouldn't have people that we can rely on in different situations, because everybody would give the same output. So it's important that we celebrate that, okay? I've also just stuck on some things that you can do away from this lesson. So we've got a little bit of a reading activity that you can look at, and it looks at diversity and the importance of it in the 21st century, okay, for the top 5 reasons. I've also got another video you guys can go on and watch on YouTube, which just talks about diversity and equality. And then I've got a little quiz that you guys can click on and do as well. So what I'll do is I'll upload this presentation to your Google Classroom and have a look at it. You can read back on it whenever you want. And also just look at, if you've got time, because we're going to be looking at these during the week, if you've got time, grab a dictionary, use Google, whatever you want, look up these keywords, and can you create a definition that is meaningful and understandable by yourself, and then we can move forward with it next week. Okay? Any questions from you guys? No? Fantastic. All right, have a great rest of the day, and I will touch base with you later.
Thank you.
No worries. Oh, sorry, actually, one last thing before we finish. Can I just ask you to also do your self-assessment at the end of the lesson for me, please? Okay? Thank you so much.
Oh, I have a question, Lisa.
Yeah.
Sorry, just because, are the links different? Because I know if you try and use the same link twice, it will tell you that this
They're
device.
different.
Okay, they are different.
Yeah, different links. Yeah, so you can link onto that twice, okay? So you'll do your self-assessment at the start, at the end, exact same questions, just different links. Okay, great. We'll stop recording now, if I can.